Hello everybody and welcome back to Bagels TV. Today I will be going over some of the biggest Resident Evil leaks I've ever heard or seen before, which come to me through Discord by a user whose name I will be blurring out. He told me he decided to contact me after seeing my last Resident Evil 9 video to inform me that there is no co-op mode in the works for the game as of right now, before telling me that he has important story points and screenshots of the trailer. So I told him to prove it by sending over some screenshots, which he did, and I'll be showing them to you right now. But before we do that, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below so you never miss an update on the Resident Evil series, and to help me reach 2100 by the end of the month. And now with all that being said, let's get back to the video. He sent me over this screenshot, which he says is from the first trailer that will be releasing in May, and it looks to be of some kind of forest during the nighttime, but your guess is as good as mine, I don't know. And I said that's interesting, but you did say you have screenshots as in more than one, right? To which he replied, of course, before sending me back this screenshot, which looks to be of some kind of castle. So I asked, is that supposed to be a castle? And he said no, it's meant to look scary in the trailer, but truthfully, it's the house of one of the village insiders who acts as if he's part of the cult while secretly helping the player by giving them insider information and advice on how to navigate through the game. And I'm thinking the same thing you guys are. How do I know he didn't just pull some random images off of Google and send them to me claiming that they're the trailer so we could be in a video? Well, let's go reverse image search these real quick to see what we come up with. Here we are on Google image search, and I don't see any direct matches, which is actually really interesting because usually these leaks don't end up being very accurate, but this one looks to be legit. So let's go to the next image. Same thing with this picture, no direct matches, although it is pulling up a lot of pictures of castles, so I wasn't completely off by assuming that's what that picture was. But once again, I don't see pretty much anything at all that really even has like the same feel to it. I guess this looks kind of similar, but clearly isn't the same image, and none of these, well, I don't really know what else to say. It's not coming up. But anyway, back to the leaks. I asked him to tell me more about the game, and he replied by saying the game takes place directly after the first ending of Resident Evil Village, and although Chris and Jill will both be playable at different points throughout the story, the main character that you'll play as for most of the campaign is a woman named Lauren. So I asked who she is, and then he said she's a local detective with years of experience, but never in her life has she seen this many murders take place in 1 month. And then he states that the game will be complete horror, even leaning further into it than Resident Evil 7, and it'll be an open world experience with Lauren's house being the main area, but you could go outside and drive anywhere at any time after meeting Chris. My first thought was an open world Resident Evil 9 could either be a complete masterpiece or a complete disaster. It all rests in the hands of Capcom and how they want to execute the game. And then I remembered that he said this game takes place in a small village, which I don't recall that being Chris's destination at the end of Resident Evil 8, so I asked him, isn't Chris going after the BSAA? Why and how does he end up in another small town? And with absolutely no hesitation, he replied by saying the helicopter is forced to make a crash landing after the pilot was shot in the head by a local sniper in the game. But everyone survives the crash with the exception of the pilot, of course, so Chris and the Hound Wolf squad start looking around the village and decide to stay for a while after meeting Lauren at a local restaurant and discussing all the recent murders taking place in the city. And after this conversation, Chris joins the investigation, thinking that it's some kind of BOW that's causing all the murders. So he asks Lauren if Mia and Rose could stay with her for a while until they solve the case. And she says yes, stating, yeah, sure, I've been needing more company. Being alone with my thoughts drives me crazy sometimes, in a joking manner. And I asked if that's how the game starts, and he said no. The game starts with Lauren watching a news report about 54 homicides taking place within the last 28 days and how they still haven't caught the killer yet and don't even have a single suspect. But they know that all the murders are connected because every time they find a body, there's always the same diamond-shaped symbol carved into the palm of the left hand. And then Lauren gets up and goes over to her friend's house where she tells Lauren about the rumors of a secret cult that was taken down by the townspeople exactly 50 years ago from the day that the first 4 murders took place. And their logo had the same diamond shape that was being carved into the dead people. In the game, of course. And Lauren asks why the news isn't talking about this, and she tells her that her suspicion is that the media was paid off by the cult to keep everything top secret, and that's why none of the townspeople know anything about the cult. And after a while, Lauren leaves to go get some food and runs into Chris and the Hound Wolf Squad, and that's where the sequence I was talking about earlier takes place. I asked, how do you know all this? And then he responded by saying, I watched the playtest for the first hour of the game alongside 10 to 12 other people. Then I asked for pictures, obviously, but he said no, they made us turn our phones off. So then I tone it down and ask a more simple question like, is the game first person like Resident Evil 7 and 8? To which he replied, it's a blend of first and third person. Then I said like Resident Evil Dead Aim, and he said not really, no. But there are side quests, or as they call them in this game, side missions, and they work very similar to the RE4 remake, where you'll pick up a flyer and it'll have a mission on it. And once you complete it, you get money that you could use at one of the many stores around the town. And eventually you'll come across an even smaller village just outside of the main one, and this one is taken over by the cult, who forced everyone to either join them or be publicly executed. And it's in this village where you meet the man in this house, and then he puts up this screenshot. And he gives you a uniform so you could go undercover as one of the cult members and investigate. Then I asked about the BOWs in the game by saying, do zombies return, are there Ganado-like enemies, or what does the combat look like? And he said there was no BOWs at all and pretty much no combat aside from maybe one encounter throughout the whole hour-long demo that I saw. The game is mainly focused on horror and story, but that's all that I could share. What do you guys think about this? Do these screenshots get you excited for Resident Evil 9? Do you think we'll actually see a trailer in May? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below to never miss an update on the Resident Evil series. And with all that being said, I'll see you all on the next episode of Bagels TV, Gaming Challenge, or whatever the hell I do on this channel. But yeah.